France is among the top 10 countries with the highest death tolls from the CCP virus as the pandemic spreads across the globe. U.S. President Donald Trump previously announced his intention to thoroughly investigate whether the virus was leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a P4 laboratory that is now the subject of investigation as a potential source of the outbreak. This P4 laboratory was built with the help of France. As of May 5th, confirmed cases of the CCP virus had surpassed 170,000 in France, with more than 25,000 deaths, giving a potential mortality rate of 14.9%. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, gave a televised speech emphasizing that France was in the midst of a war with an invisible virus. Many high-ranking French government officials have tested positive for the virus, including the Minister of Culture, a Secretary of State, members of Parliament, and mayors. In March, Patrick de Vedien, a member of the Parliament, died just 3 days after announcing that he had tested positive for the CCP virus. He was the first high-ranking French government official to die from the virus. The Epoch Times special edition on the CCP virus points out that the way the virus spreads indicates it has a goal and a purpose: to seek out the CCP in order to eliminate it and the factors associated with it. We have seen the virus spread vastly in countries and cities that have close ties with the CCP. It has also infected individuals who support pro-CCP activists. Although the France-China diplomatic relationship has been rocky over the past 50 years, both countries still interact on many levels. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, a P4 laboratory, was constructed with extensive assistance from France. Antoine Isambard, a French journalist, published a book called France-China: Dangerous Liaisons, disclosing that the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which France helped China build, is a replica of the P4 laboratory in Lyon, France. The article written by Antoine Isambard is published on the website Challenges. It was during the first half of 2003 that the powerful Chinese Academy of Sciences announced in Paris that it wished to acquire a Class 4 pathogen, P4 laboratory, which can host the most dangerous viruses on the planet: Ebola, coronavirus, H5N1. It is used to track down infectious strains in the hope of fighting them and thus protecting tens of thousands of people around the world. France, which inaugurated in 1999 in Lyon the P4 Jean Mérieux, the largest in Europe, is one of the most advanced countries on the subject. The request from Beijing, however, received a mixed reception within the French state. Alerted by its intelligence services, the government wonders if the technology requested by Beijing will not be diverted to develop bacteriological weapons. These fears are supported by very strong suspicions around the existence of a Chinese offensive biological program. With the support of then Prime Minister Jean-Pierre Raffarin, former President Jacques Chirac signed the political agreement during a visit to China in 2004. Jacques Chirac is a pro-CCP government official who once called on the EU to lift its ban on the shipments of Chinese weapons. Independent scholar Ge Bidong, who is based in the United States, expressed,
Former Prime Minister Bernard Cazeneuve once emphasized that he was going to give China 1 million euros to help them and gave them the most advanced technology of Europe. They gave a demon the best and most advanced technology to endanger the whole world. You see now that France has been hit hard by the virus because it assisted the CCP when the CCP was preparing to hurt the world by giving the best technology. Now the demon has come for you, France.
This cooperation was controversial right from the start. The French Directorate General for External Security indicated that the P4 laboratory project in Wuhan was originally undertaken by an architectural design firm in Lyon, but in 2005 the CCP chose a local design firm, the China IPPR International Engineering Corporation Limited IPPR, in Wuhan to be responsible for the project. This local designing firm has close ties with subordinate branches of the CCP's military, which are under the surveillance of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. More French government officials revealed to the media that the CCP had broken its promises many times in its cooperation efforts over the last decade. For instance, the CCP promised to build only one lab in Wuhan, but broke the promise by constructing many more labs, some of which are highly suspicious. Although the Wuhan P4 lab was created with the help of France and was given the best technology by the French government, ultimately it was the CCP who had the total control over the P4 lab. According to the report published by Radio France, 15 very specialized small and medium enterprises in France gave support to establish the Wuhan P4 lab, but they were eventually marginalized. The 50 French researchers who had planned to work in Wuhan's P4 lab for 5 years never went there. Le Figaro, a French daily morning newspaper, described the situation as out of control. Since there are only Chinese researchers in the Wuhan lab, this defeated the original purpose of the contract, which was for the two nations to work together to fight infectious diseases. Alain Mérieux, a French businessman, renounced in 2015 the position of chairman of the joint committee that oversees the project and said that the Wuhan P4 lab has become a Chinese tool. Since France was still having other negotiations with the CCP at the time, it accepted the breach of the contract. France feared that stopping the Wuhan P4 lab program would bring economic retaliation from the Chinese Communist Party. Moreover, the work occurring at other P3 laboratories, also funded by the French Raffarin government, became unclear after the first SARS epidemic, as the CCP refused to clarify the real purposes of the labs. It made people worried that the CCP would also use the P4 lab without disclosing its purpose. Radio France Internationale, France's public broadcaster, pointed out that high-ranking government officials who participated in the Wuhan P4 lab project, such as China's so-called good friend, former Prime Minister Raffarin, and former Prime Minister Bernard Cazeneuve, who attended the inauguration of the Wuhan lab, have yet to publicly express their opinion about claims that the CCP virus came from the lab.